Everyone, good evening. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Your light's not so bright.
Hello.
Anybody? Yes.
Oh, no, I think my time.
Test the battery is on.
Hold please.
Test yours for me, please. Yep.
Smart idea to test here. Sorry. Uh-oh. I can text Mark really loud.
You want mine where I don't talk much? You want to use mine or?
Oh, no, I put it in wrong.
Yes. We're good.
Jeff. Yes, big. Thank you. Sorry. Thanks for your patience. Good evening, everyone. Our first order of business this evening is, we have a board of assessors meeting. So we have our, assessing team joining us here this evening. Verna, it's nice to see you, and Brittany, thanks for coming. If you guys would come up and kind of brief us on.
Sure.
The.
All right.
Okay.
Should I test this? Okay, it's okay. Okay, so this is an abatement request by Antonio Cerconi. He owns 30 Old South Road. And he initially contacted me, I think late August, early September, to made an observation that his assessment he felt was similar to houses that were in a lot better condition than his. So I took a look at his property record card and I noticed that it appeared there could be some data errors in addition to the fact that we didn't have the appropriate condition on the property. So I did a measure and list, and that is on your abatement recommendation form in the box. In the box, I explained that I did the inspection on September 16th, and I did find some data errors. Probably the biggest error was that the square footage of his home was overstated by 726 square feet, so that's pretty substantial. It was just a key punch error, unfortunately. The second floor was unfinished, so I applied a discount for that. And the home itself was in need of repairs, so I downgraded the condition to fair. So that lowers, all of those factors will lower the value of the property. So the value after correcting the property assessment came down to $304,300. His assessed value as of April 1st, 2024 came in at 4016. Of course, he has a homestead exemption. So when you look at the property record card, you'll see a different number than the 4016. But if you add the exemption plus the net assessment, you do arrive at 4016. So I would like to recommend approval on the abatement amount of $97,300.
Thank you. So for this one, I just want to summarize it sounds like the majority of the kind of overstatement of the value initially was due to the, we'll just say like a key error entry, data entry error, with overstating the square footage.
Correct.
And then also the condition, bumping it from, what was it, before fair, from something to fair?
I believe it was an average condition.
Okay.
Yeah. So this of course amounts to $97,300. So if anybody has any questions.
Anyone have any questions for Verna on this one? And also, it's been a while since we've had the board of assessors meeting. Do we need to make motions on each of these individually at the end of the meeting, correct? At the end of the board of assessors?
Yes, it has to be within the same.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And there is only one.
Oh, there is only.
Yeah, there was potentially going to be more than one, but there's only one.
Perfect. Okay. Council, anyone, or any board of assessors rather, so anyone have any questions?
Nope, you presented it as usual, straight up, right there. Thank
Okay,
you.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. All right, I will then go ahead and make a motion that the Suburban Board of Assessors grant the abatement as recommended by the town assessor. The value abated will be $97,300.
Second.
That what I need for a motion, anything else? Anyone? All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa? Aye. Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. And just the one abatement for this evening.
That's it?
Awesome, easy. Thank you so much for coming in, both of you. You're welcome to stay or you can go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'll go ahead and close out the Board of Assessors meeting at 6:36 PM. And we'll move on to our regular council meeting, moving into the approval of minutes from our public hearing on November 12th.
Sorry, point of order from the previous meeting.
Yes.
I'm just looking at the abatement recommendation. This is, value abated was 97,300, not
97,000.
Okay, I just heard 97, I just wanted to make
Oh,
sure.
yeah, 97,300.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem, thank you. Okay, public hearing November 12th, does anyone have any, edits to the meeting minutes from the 12th? I'll go ahead and make a motion to adopt the meeting minutes from the Southborough Town Council public hearing on the comprehensive plan dated November 12th, 2024. As written.
Second.
Thank you, any discussion? All those in favor say aye, Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. And our next minutes are from the public hearing also dated November 12th, regarding the medical caregiver retail store license renewal for High Cow, operating as Auras. Any edits to these? Okay, I'll make a motion to adopt the meeting minutes for the public hearing dated November 12th, 2024 for medical caregiver retail store license renewal for High Cow as written.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. And the last minutes are from our council meeting on the 12th. Any edits from anybody on these?
Just a couple of grammatical edits, content is fine. Under the, vote to appoint, Melissa as vice chair, Melissa is spelled wrong. One L.
I'm sorry, which one again?
Under the vote to appoint, vice chair,
Under organization.
Oh,
under,
yeah,
under
yeah,
organizational, yeah, I'm
I'm
sorry. That'd be. And then under the town manager's report from the town manager, the presentation of the Spirit of America Award, it says it's for 2024-5. So the 5 just needs to be taken off the end. And lastly, councilor comments, John James, reminder as, it says reminder as he, it should be the instead. So that's all.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion to adopt the meeting minutes from our town council meeting on November 12th, 2024 as amended, as just discussed.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Just to save everybody the hassle, whoever has to type these up, I'm in there as William, Bill, Cole every time, and can we just do Bill and just make it easy for everybody, or is that,
I have to use legal names.
okay? You can just drop the Bill part then?
I can drop the bill part. It was just how your name was on the ballot and whatnot, but yes, I
Okay.
can drop the bill part, but I do have to use your legal name portion.
Okay, no, that's fine, that's good, thank you.
Okay, all right, we have a motion on the table. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, up next we have the treasurer's warrant, dated November 21st, 2024. I'll go ahead and make a motion to, sign the treasurer's warrant, dated November 21st, 2024, in the amount of $573,465.78.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of signing the treasurer's warrant, say aye. Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. All right, next section is public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on anything not on the agenda? Anyone on the phone? Okay, we will move on to unfinished business number 1, boards and committees, comp plan and downtown plan. You want to set up?
Madam Chair, so after the adoption of those 2 plans, the next step in the policy would be for the council to approve to begin the process to create an advisory committee for both the downtown revitalization plan or comprehensive plan separately, so you need to first vote to create a committee, and then within that vote, you'll accept the applications and then start interviewing and form the committees and put them together. I just wanna make sure that everybody understands these are ad hoc advisory committees. They have no legal statute of authority to make, they can't spend money, they can't make ordinances, they can't do anything. All they're doing is advising on working with the town planner in this case, for both the downtown revitalization and the comprehensive plan, working with the planner, the code and all the other departments in the council and advising, you know, making sure that the plans move forward.
I just wanna make sure I'm clear, so tonight, the action for us to take is to essentially make the motion to form the committees, and then there'll be later points in the future where we interview, select people, et cetera, like usual.
Right, so after tonight, in the motion, you can give us permission to advertise and start accepting applications. Then, as the clerk gets the applications in, they'll start coming to you. You can, or you can say you'll accept applications till January 1st or something like that.
Okay.
However you want to do it, to give us time to advertise, get it out there so people can apply. Maybe you can set up the interviews in one evening, so you don't have to have another night of them.
Okay.
Just a question as you're making your decision, because I do the board committees, is it gonna be a 5-member board? What's the terms, do you have that information?
No, it's not.
It's ad hoc.
So it's an ad hoc committee, so it's not an official recognized board and committee from the code. So the terms and the appointments up to whatever the council gives them when they vote to vote them in.
That's what it is, okay, perfect, I just wanted to
So
clarify.
you can, realistically, you would make the appointments for 1 year from the day you do it.
Mhm.
That's pretty much all it is. And then you would just reappoint them if need be, but it'd be just 1 year appointments, that's all, when they apply.
I got it, I apologize, I missed the first time you said ad hoc.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Do you know when, do you know when we need to have these committees together and ready to go? Like from that timeline perspective?
Tomorrow.
Well, well, that's not doable, so what is like a realistic time
The
frame?
first of the year.
Okay,
I really, so, I mean, we've already started doing some work on the downtown revitalization because things move whether we, you know, such as the grant for the bike paths and the path.
Mhm.
So DeCarlo's already started working on that. And now that Senator Collins is gonna be appointed the chair of the appropriations in Washington, I'm pretty sure guaranteed the money will come back to us for what we need for our road stuff. So all that stuff I think is gonna continue, so I wouldn't go any later than mid-January. I'd want it done by probably the first meeting. My goal would be to get everything appointed in the first meeting in January.
to have already completed the interviews by the first meeting in January? Okay. I just wanna call out like a yellow flag here, we're entering into December with, I think it's just busy, I'm gonna have one meeting and.
Yep. That's why I think if you do it now, we'll see if there's a lot of interest. There may not be.
Mhm.
We may not get enough applicants. But I think if we at least start the process now, I mean, what we'd like to do and the reality of getting it done could be different features, right? I mean, so when, that's me, I'd like to get done because I see progress moving forward, what we gotta do. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna work that way, so if that's where we shoot for and we come close, then we're good. If not, we'll just adjust it as we go. It'll be whatever the convenience of the council, how you guys can do that.
Okay, great. Anyone have any questions? on that? Yeah.
I just have a suggestion, when we post, that there are committee positions available, I'm just wondering if we could maybe include, a little blurb of maybe expectations and criteria of the committee. And the reason I say that is when I was on the downtown revitalization committee, we were 4 meetings in and there were some members that still didn't know what their part was or why they were supposed to be on the committee. And especially with the downtown revitalization, now that we have, we'll be into the implementation process, there might be specific criteria that we might want in committee members where there's gonna be landscape design, maybe walkway renovations, and have somebody that's downtown business you know, just so the board is a little more, aware of the certainties of the projects that we're doing and have more input instead of just kind of going with the flow.
I think, just to piggyback off of that, I'm not remembering this with the comp plan, so forgive me, but I do remember in the past, like a long time ago, before much of this council was here, we did have a practice of putting together like a committee charge, like,
Yep.
you know, document of like, this is kind of like what we're tasked with, and I just am not remembering if we did that for comp plan for, downtown revitalization stuff before, but I think that, I agree with you, I think that kind of language is something we should include in the application, like when we're posting for applications, kind of like, what are we asking these people to do?
So you didn't in the comp plan and you didn't in the downtown revitalization plan because we used SMPDC for the comp plan and we used, Wright Pierce for the downtown revitalization plan. So that was their scope of duty. That's what they was to tell us how to do it and what to do with it, right? So then if you want to do it this way, then hold off on this. We won't take any action tonight. And then between now and the December meeting, put together what it is you want. Put that out there, pass that in the December meeting and pass this and we'll put this back on the agenda in December. And then pass that with your stuff. So just between now and the December meeting, if that's long enough. If not, do it in January. But bringing it back before January, just create something, you know, what you guys want for, you know, verbiage for that.
Okay, yeah, I think if we could maybe, bring it back to DeCarlo, to staff or whomever, and, for our next meeting have, and I think it would be helpful for the council as well as the people that might potentially be applying for these committees, just so everyone's super clear on like, this is what the comprehensive plan committee is tasked with doing, and this is the down, like, and kind of what's the overlap, what are the roles and responsibilities, so that we're all super clear on that, and interviewing people and making selections. So I think if we could do that, put together kind of a blurb or something along the lines of like, what do we expect each of these committees to do? We can discuss and make sure we all agree and stack hands on that next meeting, and then we can make the motion next meeting to form the committees and recruit. But is that gonna create any problems from a timeline perspective, since we'd like these committees tomorrow?
Nope. I have plenty to do.
The requested action is to approve the new committees. I think we can do that tonight with but I also agree, because I was gonna say, details, it'd be really nice to know what we're appointing to. I think we can vote to approve these tonight, because with that, and then, I mean, I would suggest then post the heck out of it, not like up and coming. So people see it, because I hear Tim's concern of, let's drum up people to get the applications in. And then maybe we could provide the details, you know, am I being clear on
So
that?
you're saying like, just put like, hey, soon we're gonna be looking for people to join these committees, and more information to come later on what those committees are gonna do.
Right, you know?
Can we,
Well, realistically, we know what they're gonna do. It's an advisory committee to advise the council and the town on the implementation process and to work with DeCarlo or work with the planner. And the same with the conflict. There's no, it's not like it's secret science stuff. So you could approve to start, I'm just trying to start the process so we can get, you know, it's maybe a moot point if come the first meeting in January, we don't have any applications, right? So between now and then, you can pick that date, you could pass this, we could start advertising saying, look, the council's agreed to assemble a board of 5 advisory committee members to implement the downtown revitalization plan. We know the scope of the project and to help implement the comp plan. The details will be coming further. People who are interested would probably apply, and then by then you could work out with us and with, Carlo to work out the details of what you want the scope of that to exactly look like. So that by the time you do the interviews, you schedule interviews, that always takes a couple of weeks. So if we go till January 1st and schedule the interviews after that, you're probably not talking till doing appointments till the second meeting in January, so.
So the way we did it in the past, when we charged them, is we put it out, we were looking for committee members, which I agree with Jeff, we could put this out tonight.
but we're looking for people for these two committees. We did interviews, and once they were selected, they sat in front of us and we gave them their charge. We read to them exactly what we expected them to do as committee members after we selected them. Because again, anybody looking for this, I hope, if they're going to be on this committee, has been following along and understands the direction that we're going and where we want to go. So that's how we did the last two. We did one with marijuana. I don't remember what the other one was, but once we selected the committee, they came before the board, sat in the audience, and we gave them our direction, and they were supposed to report back to us at the end of every month, or
Yeah.
that's how we did it on those two. So I'm open to wherever you all want to go, but that's worked in the past.
Okay.
That's normally how it's done. I think that's the system we've always followed.
Okay.
That's why I was asking you to have time, to vote for tonight to get this started. Get everything back, then you did the interviews, and then by that point, you could have a session where you could discuss what you want to create for the ad hoc duties, and then, like John said, then that night you present it to them and say, this is what you do, and who you work with.
Right, and that way it's out in the open, it's here on camera, and everybody understands exactly what we want the committee working on. So we don't run into issues of they're going one direction that wasn't direction intended.
Okay, it sounds like we can go ahead and approve to form the committees, advertise for them, and then we're asking staff to kind of come up with a starting point at least for some language for a charge for each of these committees that we can review next meeting or in our first meeting in January. Does that sound good? I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the formation of two new committees. The first being the Downtown Revitalization Advisory Ad Hoc Committee, and the second being the Comprehensive Plan Implementation Advisory Committee. And we are approving the formation of these committees and approving for staff to advertise for these committees.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Is there anything else, any other motions, Tim, that we need? Okay, we have a motion on the table, any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Thank you everyone for the conversation on that one.
Madam Chair, moving into new business, I would make a motion to move number 3 to the top of the list. I think that he's had a long enough day, and if we could get him rolling on, it might help.
Second? All those in favor of moving, new business number 3 to the top of the list, say aye. John? Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John? Aye, motion passes 5-0. All right, let me get to this sheet. Okay, Chief, if you would come up to the podium, if we've got any questions for you, oh, we can done this for you, John. Okay, so Chief, do you wanna just kind of give us the scoop if you don't mind?
Yes, on
You have
November,
it, it's fine. I'll see it.
absolutely. On November 4th, our internal camera system failed. It's the best way to put it. The computer that runs the system has as we use the term 10.7 is dead. It no longer functions at all. We've tried calling StellarNet has tried calling Motorola, who's now owns a Vigilon company. They have tried to do service with them. Unfortunately, our camera system is no longer supported because it's too old. So we are requesting a new service, which would be the new Vigilon service, that comes with the computer system. It comes with a 5-year warranty on it. And we'd like to get that up and running again. We are a hub for many agencies because we have the Intoxilizer here. So right now, at this point, we cannot take any kind of booking videos, or our security within the department is at a minimum right now because we cannot view our cameras at all. They're no longer functioning.
And I just wanna make sure that I understand, so the cost of the new camera system is, about $12,000 in rounding, and but then this would be pulled from the CIP account, so we've got funds there, and this is exactly why we have a CIP account, is for things like this.
Correct.
Anyone have any questions for the chief?
No, mine was answered before. The only question I asked the chief earlier prior to the meeting starting was, why we waited this long with something that's viewed as, it's definitely a security issue for our officers along with anybody they bring in. And the answer I got was much like I expected. They were waiting on a quote. It wasn't, they've been trying since day one to get this fixed. That being said, that was the only question I had. And again, they've been trying. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
I have a question.
Sure.
So the security cameras are for booking and just internal security of
Correct.
the department?
Yeah, the whole exterior of the building, the whole interior of the building. We have 23 cameras in there.
That's what I mean.
I have a quick question. So I see in the quote here, there's a 1-year license for $4,100. Is there currently a license that we have, so that roughly the same?
Yes,
Okay, so it's not really an annual increase to budget there.
correct.
Yeah, so this is in accordance with our code and charter. This is a single source provider. So there is no other two bids. Part of the reason it did have to wait to the council meeting, because this was not a budgeted item. This is a CIP item. It was not budgeted, about $10,000, so following the council, the code and charter. It had to come here first. I could not approve it. I suppose I could have, but I figured I'd just take it from here first. Told the chief not to arrest anybody till tonight. There's like 10 people waiting outside to get arrested. Just kidding. So it's a single source because the only one who can provide to the connection is the system itself. So they put the original system in, and so they're the provider that does it. So we had to wait for the quote from them. There is no other two quotes. So in the policy, our policy clearly talks about a single source provider, and you can approve that way.
Anyone else have any other questions or?
Sure. I hope to approve the purchase of the police camera system to be paid for from the public equipment CIP account.
Police equipment, yeah.
Second,
Thank you, we have a motion, a second, any discussion?
I have one more question. Any ETA on how long once we tell you to go?
It'll be about 2 to 3 weeks.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Right, we have a motion on the table, any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye, Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Bill?
aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Okay, now moving back to our original plan, moving on to new business number 1, scheduled training with state representatives. So this is an annual thing, where, our state representatives, who were recently reelected, State Representatives Meyer and State Representative Roberts, would just like to workshop with the town council to talk about, any needs or anything coming up going forward. We've kind of coordinated, over the past couple of weeks to work out a date that would work for everybody. And, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion to schedule a workshop with State Representatives Meyer and Roberts on December 17th at 5:30 PM ahead of our regularly scheduled council meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Does that date and time still work for everybody?
Yeah, I'm good.
Great.
So Mallory, the date and time definitely works.
Mhm.
My one concern is typically when we hold a workshop before a town council meeting that wouldn't normally start until 6:30.
Mhm.
We've been able to go right into a town council meeting.
Mhm.
So say we only have 15 minutes worth of conversation with our 2 representatives.
Mhm.
Does that mean our town council meeting would start at 5:45? Or would we be sitting here for 45 minutes to start a meeting?
Our meeting will need to start at 6:30, it's published to start at 6:30. So I think we can, based on the motion, start as early as 5:30, but if we kind of all agree that maybe we only need 30 minutes or something between now and then, we can maybe start the workshop a little bit later if we need to. Or we can just start it at 5:30 and then twiddle our thumbs for a little while. Does that way everyone prefer to just start at 5:30 and then we can, and then that gives us plenty of extra room. Representative Roberts, I see her on the line. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that either.
She has a class tonight, so she might.
Oh, okay, alright. Okay, we will plan to start at 5:30 and if then we have plenty of time and if we don't need all the time, then at least we've got the extra timeline.
Okay.
All right, motion on the table, any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Right?
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Okay, and our next order of business is to schedule, what I think we're planning to be an annual town council training going forward with our town's attorney, Ann Freeman. That would be for the entire council, and it sounds like Ann has time available on Tuesday, January 7th, or Tuesday, January 21st, which are not our council meetings. Those are off, okay. Does anyone have a preference? Or do either of those dates not work for anybody? The 7th or 21st?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I don't think it'll be more than an hour, it shouldn't be,
Okay.
I'd be surprised if it is, but it's
Okay.
just our annual refresher on our codes and conduct and personnel and all the stuff that affects council and myself.
okay. I'm gonna go ahead and say that I think the 7th actually works better for me, if anybody, that's good with everybody. Bill, what you got?
Nothing right now, so.
Okay, all right, let's go ahead, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion to schedule a workshop for town council training with the town's attorney, Ann Freeman, on Tuesday, January 7th at, would anyone like to start at 6 p.m. that night, since we don't have a council meeting, so okay? At 6 p.m.
Okay.
And we'll hold that in, probably downstairs on the first floor. All those in favor of motion, say aye. Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Just write this down, January 7th, 6 p.m. workshop. Great. Okay, moving on to new business number 4, solid waste contract review. I know there's quite a bit to cover here, so Tim, I'm just gonna pass it over to you.
Make this easier. So make it a little easier, I'm giving you the packets that I sent you on the computer, to follow along, so it might be a little bit easier, there's other stuff to follow. This is exactly what you got in your packets, but it's a hard copy, so it's might take a little bit. I learned so much about trash that I'll never forget. I like it, and now you're about to enjoy it with me. So you got my memo, and essentially, I don't wanna relive all, we've been negotiating for the last year, we negotiated with 3 companies.
I just wanna set this up real quick, we're talking about, we were negotiating with 3 companies for our,
Solid waste,
solid waste hauling.
solid waste tipping fees. So first thing is for the public, that's a good point, let me go back up and start. Our current solid waste tipping contract expires July 1st of 2025. So a 13-town consortium, it's called Tri-County, Recycle Waste. We put together this group, we're all contracted at the same time. We got together last year, put together a negotiating committee and went into advertising for contract proposals. We got 3 proposals back, after the first of the year. We started I was on a negotiating committee, we negotiated those, been negotiating those contracts for almost a year now. And the purpose of this is time sensitive because we need these numbers for budget going forward. So going forward, we got Casella, we got Waste Management, we got EcoMaine. So the first one that's easy to rule out was Waste Management, and have you had a chance to look at all this or any of it, or? So in a nutshell, Casella, so Waste Management, was the first contract that they did, and we negotiated with them. Currently, right now, to keep in mind, so I will explain for the public, so the tipping fees is exactly what it sounds like, it's where they tip the dumpster up, and dump the trash out, and that's by tons. Currently, right now, our current contract, we're paying $81.50 a ton. And last 12 months, we've done 1,523 tons for a total of around $122,601 to tip our trash. In other words, to dispose of our trash. So we're talking just tipping fees. The separate contract is subtracting fees. Waste Management submitted their contract. The problem with Waste Management, we're looking for a 5-year or longer contract because we know the trash is gonna go through the roof. We don't wanna, we wanted the longest contract possible because we want a set rate. And we know hauling fee is going through the roof. So Waste Management bid, they're gonna they were starting at $95 per ton. The problem that we couldn't really entertain Waste Management is they can only take 13,000 tons of material, and the 13 towns generate over 25,000 tons annually. So somewhere in the process, Waste Management would stop us from going to, which their landfill is right over here in Rochester, and say, okay, now you gotta go somewhere else. So if we gotta go to another landfill farther up in Maine or to Massachusetts, then our hauling fee is gonna go through the roof. So that one was ruled out, so that was Waste Management. So the next one is Casella. Casella is our current tipper. They're the ones we use currently right now. They're offering us the first year, a 5-year contract, 107 per ton, the second year, 117, and the rate will increase by 3% of the consumer price index, for garbage and trash collection. The pass-through charge would be assessed on 30-day notice for any changes in local, state, federal laws, regulations, imposition of taxes, fees, and surcharges, and changes in third-party hauling trucking. We understood the changes in the local, state, federal laws, and we negotiated with them. We had 4 meetings with Casella and we understood those, the changes in third-party haul trucking is not acceptable to the negotiating committee, it was approved. The reason is that John goes out and is friends with Casella, and John gets 10 trucks and goes to Casella and says, hey, I'm gonna haul for you, but we're gonna double the hauling fees. What Casella is saying, they're passing that on directly to us. We have no control over that cost, and that can't be, that's just an unacceptable practice. So, and then the other part of, so when you talk about trash, you'll see terms, MSW is municipal solid waste. CDD is, CCD, clean construction debris, and then recycling. So those are the things that we throw away here in South Berwick. So we went back and tried 3 times to negotiate with Casella, and they wouldn't budge. They said, this is what you got. Casella gave us a 5-year contract with an additional 5-year possibility. So that, right now the site that they're hauling their trash to, they run to the state of Maine. And that is a 5-year shelf life. It'll be up in 5 years. The state of Maine, it's Juniper Ridge Landfill in Oakland. So the state of Maine has offered to negotiate another 5-year expansion with Casella. So Casella gave us a 5-year additional offer, depending when and if they sign that contract. So this would be a 5-year contract with potential for another 5 years after. That worried the negotiating committee and the group because, again, we're concerned about long-term pricing and budgeting. So then, third was Eco Maine. And so then going forward, Casella and Waste Management are profit companies. Eco Maine is a 501c3 nonprofit. And as you read here, Eco Maine is owned by 20 municipalities in southern Maine with an additional 53 associate contract member communities. The trash is taken to Outer Congress Street in Poland. They have an incinerator there, and it's incinerated. I was on this board in 2018 as manager in Harrison. We had voted at that time not to allow any new members in because we were almost at capacity for trash burning, and so they burn the trash and recycle it to create steam. They generate electricity in 3 large turbines, they create energy for the Cumberland County area. So at first, they offered us a contract community, and for a contract community, they were offering us a 25-year contract, and then it would start, it'd be $125 per ton. And then there would be the possibility of having, a rebate every year. Because they're a nonprofit, they can't make a profit, so what they do is they take their money, they fund their CIP accounts, which is what they need to do, and then any extra profit, they return back to the contract communities, they split that between there and the owners. But what they do for the owners is they set their annual rates very low for a long time. So you know what you're doing and what you get. So we talked, I knew the owner, it wasn't me, but we talked to Kevin, not the owner, the CEO, Kevin. And they came back, the board of directors met, and they came back and they said, we're gonna offer you an owner community. And I fell over, I was like, oh my God, tell me more, I'm interested. And they said, so what we're gonna do is we need more trash, because right now we're burning so much, create so much more electricity. We need to take trash out of the landfill in the summertime to fill the boiler. So Brunswick was never an owner. Brunswick has petitioned Ecomaine to come in. So Ecomaine wanted to bring Brunswick on because they needed them as the anchor city for the northern part of the district. So we talked to them and they said, we're gonna give you the opportunity to become a contract community. My first thought was, when we talked to the negotiating committee, was they're gonna charge us a hauling rate or tipping rate, plus like a $400,000 mortgage to get in. They came back and they said, no, what we're gonna do is we're gonna charge you $107 plus a set fee to be added annually to your dumping rates. That we'll show you, and it'll be $15.50 a ton over and above the tipping rate for 30 years. That'll be your mortgage. So it'll just be tied into your tipping fees. We said, oh, that was for all 13 towns. We said, okay. So then the next question was, we met as the group of 13 towns got back together, and some of the towns said, well, what if we don't go? Is it all or nothing? So we had to go back to Ecomaine. We went back to the board of directors, and they gave us back a letter saying, no, we will take individual towns. So I was pretty impressed, but I was pretty surprised. So I had to do some digging. At that point, I'm like, okay, why? Well, come to find out after I got my answer this past week. Ecomaine wanted Sanford really bad. Sanford is with Casella right now. On December 3rd, Sanford is voting to go with Ecomaine. They wanted Sanford has the weight link down here, Brunswick up there. He said everybody else is just extra, so you're welcome to come. That being said, so I'm going to show you this is the analysis of what an owner community versus the contract community versus the other people would look like. So if you turn to the yellow tab, and you open that up, you're going to see, you should see South Berwick in orange. Correct?
Yep.
Everybody's there, okay.
Yep.
So if you look at the yellow line going across, you see this is what, they're measuring this in 5 years. That's what the other contract was for, is 5 years, right? So in 5 years, our annual cost for tipping fees would be, for an owner community option 1 would be $454,305. Annual cost for recycling, for MSW then recycling would be $217,291, and don't pay attention to the other two numbers, that was just principal buy-in. So they would be charging us $12,151 a year for our mortgage. And that would come to a 5-year total of $732,352 as a 5-year owner, okay? If we didn't have a contract, as a contract town, it would cost us $501,329 for MSW, 235 for recycling, and $737,078 for 5 years. So you see the difference is a little higher in the contract cost than it is the buyer community. Two reasons. If you go down bottom, you see a highlighted number that says 48,997. They project that at the end of 30 years, every year, the buying communities, remember, they get a rebate. The owner community doesn't get a rebate, but you get a much lower rate for 30 years. Okay, so the owners set the increase for the contract towns, the 50 contract towns, the 20 owners towns vote every year. So we might go, let's say hypothetically, trash CPI is 7%. We might go to the contract towns that is, do we want to do an increase next year for 5%? However, as the owners, we're only giving ourselves a 2.1% increase. So that's what, we don't get a rebate, we don't get a cash rebate, we keep our rates down. As an owner, we vote on ourselves. Okay. Then if you take those two numbers and you go to page 2 on the right-hand side, you'll see now we're talking about Casella. So remember, we're bidding against each other for 5 years. So for 5 years, the MSW for Casella's contract would be $451,696. And for the recycling would be $347,933. So even with just a 5-year contract, it's still more at $799,629. So there lies the answer of going forward. And then the sheet on the left-hand side, where it's now the owner community, what you see, and as well as the contract community, the owner community is showing you a 2.1% increase for 30 years and showing us our payments for 30 years. So I could budget ahead, we could budget ahead for 30 years. So essentially, unless the owners do something goofy to themselves, this is the projected rate for the next 30 years.
Which is incredible in the trash business.
Yeah.
To lock into a
Well,
30-year contract.
right, so what we don't wanna be doing is we don't wanna be walking, this stuff. Oh, okay, so you can see it on the thing, alright, so
Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna give you mine, these are the numbers I'm talking about, just to look at it for a second. So, the next step in the process, we have a meeting on December 4th, the committee gets back together, and we were summoned to come back to each of our towns. I already know 3 towns in York County that are not going with it, because they have Casella for curbside pickup, and they feel that they're gonna get punished if they go for their tipping fees and they don't pick Casella. That's their business. Sanford has Casella for curbside pickup, but they're going to Eco Maine as an owner for waste, for recycling. One of the other things about Eco Maine, and again, I'm kind of slated because I was with Eco Maine before, is they have a great public sales program, they have grant programs. They go to the schools, they do recycling stuff, it's a huge, they come to the transfer station like twice a year and do big presentations for the whole weekend, set up tables and set up their booths and do that stuff. So my thought to tell you is that my recommendation to the council would be that, and I'm just either looking for a consensus, or you could even make a motion tonight, but is to go to Eco Maine. And whether you do it tonight or you do it, you're gonna still have to vote on the contract. They'll give us in early January or February. This is more than I've ever thought I'd ever learn about trash in my whole life. I thought I knew a lot about it, but now I know a lot more about it. The days of 81.50 a ton, so the days of those days are gone by, long gone by. And the problem is, my fear for us is if we do a 5-year contract and then we have a bump in the economy, the uncontrolled costs going forward, whereas opposed to a 30-year contract gives us, we're locked in for 30 years and we're owners. We'll never get an opportunity, I don't believe, like this again. And I think I don't think it'd be a great perspective to pass it up and continue to work.
In the past, we've had a push in the town for Eco Maine. It's a good, solid plan, it's a great opportunity, and I agree. This might not be available in 5 years, and in 5 years, if the state of Maine doesn't agree to expand it and give it a wider berth, which Oakland isn't happy about making it bigger now,
That's correct.
then we're stuck with wherever we are in 5 years. They're gonna lock us in for 30 years. I said, that's unheard of. I thought the 7 year we had was great.
Yeah. And my biggest fear, folks, is in reality, is in 5 years, if the state and Casella can't come to a working agreement and they can't get the one in Oakland extended, and they shut that down, they say, okay, guess what? Now you gotta haul your trash to Massachusetts. Our trucking fee will
No bankrupt.
bankrupt. They would, so, and to give you an idea, so we're also negotiating our trucking fees right now. And we are looking very hard. At one time, we used to own a truck with North Berwick and that dissolved. We used to transport our own stuff. We're looking at going back there. The rates that are coming in for the transport fees are so astronomically high. And they have so many non-funded or no restrictions on their changes that we just can't get there. And I really think we're talking about creating a consortium. Elliot's bought their own truck, but I think I'm talking with Dwayne and North Berwick about going back and us joining together, buying a truck jointly, having one guy and hauling our own trash. Even if we spend $200,000-300,000 or $400,000 on that and then the salary annually, that'll be cheaper than $150,000 a year. So, I will accept questions.
I don't have a question, I have a comment. I think that this sounds like a great opportunity, and I sort of equate it to sort of like the York ambulance contract, how we just kind of surprised, our rates went up a ton, and we had no other choice but to just pay it, and I feel like trash, has potential to be similar until we can lock in good rates for a long time. I think that's to our advantage.
And Eco Maine's not burying it. Right, they're burning it, it's being
Right.
scrubbed, it's not putting anything in the atmosphere, we're not creating another landfill. We're being good stewards to go Eco Maine. If you wanna look at it that way, I think the townspeople will look at that as we're looking forward to the future and not building a bigger amount of trash more somewhere.
If I understand, we could opt into either one of these 30-year contracts, one as kind of just locked into a 30-year contract, but one as an owner where we have our fate in our own hands.
Right.
Or at least the voice when it comes to.
So thank you for that question, that's a good question. So we asked them, when we sign the contract, how long before we become owners and put a person at the table, and they said, no, instantly. So one of you could be, myself and the council chair and Harrison were the representatives for us to the table, to their council. So one of you could be, I would, if we go that route, I'm sure I'll set up the tour of the spring when it gets a little warmer out. And set up a tour for all of us to go and see the facility. It's phenomenal. I've been through it several times. And like I said, what I'm excited about more than anything is they have a huge program on recycling. They really do the best in probably the New England region. They have the Amazon box recycling program. They recycle all the cardboard for everyone. So they're really big into this.
So we could do this one of two ways. You're looking for a consensus and I haven't.
I just have a couple of questions.
Okay. Go ahead,
You know, seems like a good idea with Eco Maine. Just to better understand, so just trying to wrap my head around the ownership stuff. And once that happens, is there, let's say they get Sanford, you said there's 20 others that they have Biddeford, they get Kennybunk, there are a bunch of communities that are bigger than us. At year 17, I don't want to lose my say for South Berwick, and I don't want to be voted off the island, essentially, is that a threat that's a potential?
So, no, because once you're an owner, it's a contract for 30 years. you're there for 30 years. That's it. The other part of that is EcoMaine is hoping someday, if they have enough, they can't sustain their boilers right now, which is why they need more. But their goal is that they could get by 2030, if they could do, more towns to think about, they bought the land all around them to build a second incinerator, the 3 more turbines, because it's good. So that's why they're expanding. They just can't take enough trash. So and the trash burning room, if you call it that, if I took you there, is the size of this building. And it's operated by a huge crane inside and so forth. But no, the answer is no, Jeff. It's a 30-year, we signed a contract, it's a contract for 30 years. It won't be renegotiated for another 30 years.
So, and then, just, I guess, a little bit of logistics. So right now, as I envision it right now, to pick up our trash at the transfer station, they bring it to a pit, dump it. As long as the truck can get it back in, it's done. But this is going to a process, meaning it needs to get put into the burn pit. Is that where it gets put, or are we waiting for a slot to get our truck to back up? You know what I mean? So.
So they have a huge deposit bay. It's like 10 days wide. So the trucks pull in, pull around, they get weighed. They go over, they dump their truck, they come back around, get the weight, get the bill, the tag, and then they leave. So, and then the bulldozers push it onto the conveyor belt. And then it goes up a huge conveyor belt drops into let's hypothetically say the left side of this room. And the actual furnace is on this side, and there's a guy in the burner room in a protected crane, obviously. And he's picking up trash and putting it on the fire constantly, and that's what they do. So and they're open 24 hours a day. They work all the time.
So
They'll never get weight.
Right, okay.
Yeah, no, it'll,
Well, you could,
but not from here.
well, it depends when you go, right? I mean, I suspect if you went Monday morning when all the truck driving services open their doors at 6 AM and get their first loads, there's probably lines out there, that they get through in a couple hours. But normally, trucks got about a 45-minute offload is the usual standard. You pull in, wait, a couple trucks, probably no more than what we do here if you dump trash in our transfer station. Kind of similar to the idea, I think. You pull in, you gotta wait, the biggest holdup is waiting for the scale. There's only one scale house. They pull onto the scale, they weigh you, drive around, you've got 10 bays, you back into one of the bays, you dump your load, pull back out, go back in, get your receipt, and you leave.
But I think, I'm not sure, Lynn, I'm not trying to speak for Jeff, but I think his concern was, will we ever have a time where we have a full hopper here? And we're waiting because they're full there and we have to wait to haul.
No, it depends. So the hauling piece is separate from this. The hauling piece will be up to us. So we have 2 cans, we own the cans, so we have 2 cans right now. So even if our can got full to get hauled, we just pull it out with the backhoe, the new backhoe we bought, put the other one in and keep moving. And they would dump that. But, so I talked to the town manager in North Berwick, and he said, so we were probably making 4 to 5 trips a week from South Berwick, and they were making about 5 or 6 trips a week from North Berwick. So that was the truck we had before, so that's what we're doing. So, and it's more today. That's one of the reasons more people, more trips, so. And so the answer is that no, that there's always a way to have a can there. So we don't own 1 can, so that we have multiple cans, because that's what they do now. So they have scheduled times, they come in, and they actually, right now, Casella has the can. And they have a can, so they come over with their can, they pull the loaded one up, put the new one in, load up the other one, and drive away. Come back that afternoon, drop the other one off.
I think it sounds great. I think with all the talk about PFAS and sludge and stuff like that, going to where it's not gonna be just sitting on the land, sounds like a great idea. Thank you for answering the questions.
Any other questions?
If we did this 30-year contract, Would that allow you to step away from the Tri-County Solid Waste Group for a minute? Or would you still be involved in negotiations like every 5 years with that group?
No, I would step, we wouldn't have to negotiate, so the next piece is that we're gonna have to tackle the transportation piece on. If we go through, let's say hypothetically, we're doing a study right now to see if we could, would it cost to get our own truck guy. And if we do that, then we're done with that would solve our trash contract problems for, if we have our own truck,
Right.
the only thing we gotta do is do what we used to do, is replace it every 5 years. And then, make sure we hire a driver and so forth. And I talked to Elliot already, right down there, and he said because they had to go out 2 years ago to negotiate their hauling fees. And he said, even 2 years ago, it wasn't gonna be practical for us, for Elliot. He said, you were talking over 500,000 a year. Right now, we're paying, what, 90,000 for,
It's a little bit less than the
yeah, a little less than tipping fees. And you're talking tripling that, and that's just not sensible, so we're thinking buying a truck and doing it ourselves. So there's only, the two contracts is this and the trucking fees. So right now, we're doing the trucking fee, and hopefully whatever we do as a group, and I didn't mind being on it, it just was very time consuming. But I didn't mind being on it because of my job, I wanted to make sure that South Berwick is the best package, whether I'm here or not, South Berwick got something that, and if I can give us a project like this, then I can say, we're gonna sit at the table as long as we give ourselves a 2.1% increase for the next 30 years. Heck, that's pretty good.
So. Back to.
Sorry, Madam Vice Chair, any other questions?
Nope, that's it.
Yeah, sorry, we can make a motion tonight to authorize you to act in good faith and make this happen, and that way, the next time we have to have something before the council is with the contract.
It'll be that contract.
If everybody was comfortable with that.
Sometimes.
I would rather be in the front of the pack to show Eagle Maine that we're eager to go.
Yeah.
So I would rather do that, and, the committee, some of the towns didn't feel comfortable, they needed more information, some of the towns were like, well, we're gonna talk about it in secret, and I was like, we got the numbers. And so whatever you wanna do, if you wanna give me a motion or a consensus, I'll take either, and I'll moving forward to the December 4th meeting with whatever you tell me.
I mean, I think it seems like we have consensus for the council, but we want to make a motion too, just in case, I'll make a motion to, approve of the town manager to move forward, with the 30-year contract with Eco Maine for tipping fees
As the owner of community, right, not the.
as an owner.
Let's get it.
Thank you.
Second,
We have a motion and a second, any other discussion? Oh, I'm sorry, there were two questions in the audience.
sorry.
Clay, come up to the audience first, and then Tamara.
Clay Curtis, Brattle Street. Not so much a question, because this sounds fantastic, but, I noticed that the online information does not actually include the South Berwick pages that you have here. Could that be uploaded?
So those big sheets, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I didn't send them to the council because it's too much information.
All right,
I
thank
will
you.
I will give them and put them on, we will put them on the website. tomorrow.
Excellent. Thank you.
So, we will get them up there, but it was just too much information at the time for me I wanted to give it to them.
Yeah.
Handout.
Hello.
Hello, Tamara Steinhauer, Hill Drive. I just have a question. Does this impact at all ever going to single stream? Does this mean that for 30 years, we're never gonna go to single stream?
No, so the single stream is completely different than this.
Okay,
So that's a whole different discussion topic. And in reality, Eco Maine would probably prefer us to go to single stream. It's better for them and it's simpler and it's cheaper for hauling. So
okay,
the next step in the process, Tamara, going forward, where single stream will come in. So recycling has to be sorted one way or the other. Right now, we're sorting at our facility. Other places send it up as a single, they call it single sort, everything goes into one big can, they compress it, they take it up, they dump it out, they sort it at their facility. their facility is made for that. So they prefer that,
Mm.
but what will become a factor for us on the trucking fee, so remember, so right now, we ship cardboard, then we ship plastic, then we ship glass, and we ship, right, what are we doing? We're killing ourselves with the trucking fees, however, single source recycling is more expensive per ton, but you're paying less trucking fees. So, the next step in 2, 3 process, we can change anytime we want to go to single source recycling. It'll, and it's just, that's the next piece to look at, all right, but I gotta do the tipping fees on the trucking fees, and then,
No, this sounds great.
and we'll do it, but so just so you know, and thank you for bringing that up, it's a good point. No, you can, there's a lot of towns around us, most of the towns around us have now gone to single source. Number 1, staffing, number 2, transportation trips and so forth and so on. So I think single source is coming very soon. I don't know this year, next year, but with the trucking fees, I think once we see, if we end up with our own trucking fees, single source will be a lot better for us. Thank you.
That was a really good question. I appreciate that. That was good.
I think especially if we're considering getting our own truck, maybe you just said that,
Right,
that makes a big difference too.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
And the reason, just for the public, if they haven't been watching for the last 10, 11 years, the reason we got rid of our truck is it sucked the valve through the turbo. And it would have been huge money to rebuild the truck in the condition it was in. And at the time, hauling fees weren't that bad versus us spending $300,000 for a truck. So that's why we opted as a council then to get out of the trucking business, because the repair bill on that truck was gonna be through the roof with a new motor and new turbos.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. Any other discussion or questions or?
One more question. Potentially down the road, if we could lower prices with our own trucking, and if EcoMaine is gonna save us some cash, is there any possibility down the future of the blue bags going away?
that's really up to the council. That's up to you. That's not my choice. So they implemented the blue bags, and I think the purpose in most towns, the blue bags has helped to offset the operating costs of the transportation. So I will be completely honest with you, Madam Vice Chair, I don't ever foresee trash ever going down. It's only gonna skyrocket, and the towns that don't figure it out and get on it are gonna be severely impacted by the cost fees of stuff. If you have any kids growing up and they're looking, tell them to get into trash, there's money in trash.
Or trucking?
Trucking, there's money in trucking. You know, it's astronomical cost for, and like I said, we're doing a study right now, and I think we're gonna find it's cheaper for us to do it in the future. And maybe we've had, in all honesty, I've had these discussions with Wayne, maybe we do more than just us, maybe we do it more than just us, maybe we get a truck or 2 trucks and hire a couple people and offer, maybe we make some money on trucking, right? I don't know. Let's be open-minded, I think, and look at everything.
Yeah.
So that would be a huge benefit to us if we ended up trucking for ourselves, but picking up contracts for other towns. Right? Something like that. I mean, it's just anything's possible, but we're just trying to get the best avenues for the taxpayer.
I think this is a great step one.
Yeah, I think it's setting us up well and giving us options and flexibility for the future too, so. Okay, we have a motion on the table.
There was no second, you stopped the motion to allow comments.
I thought somebody seconded.
I did.
Yeah, John.
You did,
seconded.
oh, my apologies, we both missed that, then.
No worries, okay. Okay, so we have a motion in a second, and we'll go ahead and vote. Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Yay, trash. Okay, next, on our agenda is town manager contract, but we're going to quickly, I'm gonna make a motion, for the town council to go into executive session, subject to 4056A personnel. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, and we'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor, Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed 5-0. This will be brief. We will be back. It's 7:54. I'll make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Thank you. A motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye. Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. We are now back in council meeting. Thank you for your patience. And then we'll take up our last order of business, which is the town manager contract. And page. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so the council met, we met a couple weeks ago with, our town manager Tim, to review his contract and included in our supporting documents, we have, an updated version of his contract to take effect, December 1st. And the change, I'll just read the blurb that we've got here, so, the contract has been reviewed by Tim's personal attorney as well as our town attorney, Matt Tarasevich. And the contract term has been changed was changed from a 6-year term to a 3-year term with a 3-year, 6-month automatic renewal extension for those terms. The contract cannot be any longer than 3 years because of the council's term, because we all only have 3-year terms, hence the minor changes to the language. But on the whole, I think this employee contract is pretty boilerplate, and the council's, in agreement. Any other discussion or Tim, anything you would like to add before we go ahead and? All right, I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept the draft renewal contract for the town manager as written.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any other discussion?
3 more years.
All right, all those in favor of adopting the town manager's contract, say aye. Deb?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
It's been a great time so
Yes.
far.
Thanks for sticking with us. Okey doke, town manager's report.
Highway picked up leaves along the curb line, moving all leaves to the transfer station, undercoated the new backhoe. Shoulder work's been completed around town. They've helped with home for the holiday preparation, stage and the lights. Police department had 4 arrests, 9 accidents, 49 traffic stops. South Berwick, along with other Berwicks, have been hit with a rash of kids smashing mailboxes. All 3 towns are working diligently to find the suspects. Fire department had 17 calls in the last 2 weeks, there's 394 to date. Last week, they responded to a major incident, in Wells. There was a 4-alarm building fire on, November 18th in Wells. One of the pumper truck, the tank truck, and the chief responded. There was a very large, old 18-unit apartment building. Our chief set up water supply because it was a rural water supply, they didn't have any hydrants. They ended up calling the county-wide task force of tankers, 16 tankers to get water there. And Chief wrote, despite some disruptions early on, they were able to sustain a major firefighting operation utilizing tankers from 14 different fire departments in the area. I want to commend, the chief for, I know the job he had to do that night when he got there, being water supply officer, which meant he had to organize all his side of it so that they didn't run out of water. And the more hoses, the more ladders they put up with hoses, the more water he needed, he kept asking for help. And I want to commend the chief because he stepped right into that role. He pulled up, the chief from Wells, things are going bad real quick. And he said, you know, Chief Ham will take water supply. And without a blip, chief jumped on it, started setting it up. And when he saw that he needed more help, he reached out to dispatch, got trucks rolling. So of the 16 towns, they had 4 counties and 2 states working that fire. They had that many trucks, and Chief Hamill kept the water supply all organized, so they didn't run out of water for 6 hours. So I commend him for a great job. Exactly why I and we selected him as chief, because I have 100% confidence in what he can do. And that night he stood on his head to make it work for the town in Wells and the citizens that needed that help. Just so the Wells would do for us if we needed it. So I commend Chief Hamill and the rest of the department, the whole department who responded. We went with a total, I think, of 16 firefighters. And we still had another 12 back here protecting our town. And our guys made a difference over there. They were, they were ready to go and go to work, so. And that comes with, support from the council, support from the town, giving them the right equipment, being trained, being ready to go, giving them the right budget. And they made a difference over at Wells at a major event, so, I wanna commend them on that. Code enforcement, 6 building permits, 5 plumbing permits, 19 inspections, 1 violation being dealt with. And for planning and economic development, South Berwick hosted the Eastern Trail meeting for the state on November 18th to gather feedback on potential routes through the town. Dates from the state are expected within the next 3 months. The traffic light project and initial internal state meeting will be held in December. Kickoff meeting is expected in February 2025, and as I said, the good news is that any holdup that we thought there might be, my good friend Senator Collins is gonna be the chair of the appropriation, so I have her email, and I used it last past weekend, when I found out she was gonna be the appropriation chair. I think, hey, remember me? Congratulations, I need 2 streetlights. Transfer unit, transfer station, business as usual, they had 75 units of air conditioners, a freon with drain and all the way.
At the library on November 13th, they had an author visit, Kathy Gunst, who is the James Beard Award-winning journalist and resident chef for NRP's award-winning show here in Mass. And there were over 40 in attendance. In recreation, they're planning breakfast with Santa, which will happen on December 7th. The safety gate wire at Powder House is expected to be fixed before Thanksgiving. This is a crucial piece of operation of the ski rope. And once that inspection has been completed mid-December, Nikki will. In the senior program, there was 90 people that came to the community center for Thanksgiving dinner. That was yesterday, and that was hosted by the Rotary. They do that every year. And they're also holding an exercise drumming class that will be on December 10th, and their annual cookie swap will be on December 17th. And assessing, KRT is starting on Boyd's Corner Road and the surrounding roads. There are only approximately 400 parcels left, and most of those are commercial and exempt properties. Those ones will be handled by a different person at KRT, specializing in those. So they're almost done. We're getting there. Just the northernmost part of town needs to be completed. In the clerk's office, we have a new employee, Billy Walker, who will be starting on December 9th. Both Cheyenne and Monique already know him, so there is a good rapport to start off with, which is great. In my area, finance, HR, benefits, I've had 9 business meetings and 26 staff meetings. And we have 2 possible foreclosures that would happen on December 5th. Heather has talked to both of the parties, and we do feel like they will be paying before the deadline, so that's great news. Still working with the auditor to finalize the audit, giving him answers to FEMA questions and doing the year-end final entries. So I should be seeing that hopefully by tomorrow, the draft, to get it completed and finalized with he and I next week to be able to present to you guys in December. And the town hall will be closing at noon on Christmas Eve. It will be closed obviously on Christmas Day. And the new server that we did order a month or so ago has just got delivered today. So it's just set up, it's not pushed before we switch over and hit that button.
My comprehensive downtown revitalization plan has been placed at the library for citizen viewing. All good?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We had some noise not coming from Zip.
Held a couple meetings about the tree dedication with a new tree out there. Assisting with Home for the Holidays, tree lighting dedication. I don't know if you know this, but I have St. Nicholas speed dial on my phone, so I have a direct line to him, so he's assured me that he might make it here for the Home for the Holidays. They may want to come and say hi. We held 2 post-election meetings to review, one with the staff and one with the election workers. We identified 32 weaknesses that we need to improve upon and 23 successes that we had. So that was good, and we have a path forward. Now we're gonna go forward with the clerk's office, myself and Jen, And we're gonna prioritize the weaknesses and start working on correcting those issues. Met with a citizen who had a complaint about his neighbor. And that's been handed over to code enforcement. Myself and Jen met with Oak Point this morning and Oak Point Lasso about the contract going forward. So we're going to do, how this will work, they're getting us language, then get us a draft contract, and go to legal, come back. Go to everybody that's gonna have it before you get it, so when you get it, it'll be ready for, you'll have a chance to certainly change something if you want, but everything else will be prepped, it's a standard contract. It's a construction management contract, so, which is a little different than how I thought it was gonna go, so what they're going to do is, you'll hire, we'll take that contract, that actually, it's a, construction manager contract, and for the architect and for us. So it's one contract, but the next step in the process is, once we sign that, is they hire, or we work with them to hire a construction manager. So they're gonna draft the language, we're gonna put it all together, you'll approve that RFPQ, put it out, just like we did for the original contract. And basically what we're doing, because we already have the design, we already have that stuff, we're gonna hire you're gonna hire, we're gonna interview and hire the construction manager. He may be from Allied Construction, he may be from, and he's the one who's gonna work with them on the final architectural design, and then put out, that construction manager and, Oak Point Lots will put out all the bids for the subcontractors to come in and start bidding on the work and doing all that stuff. So you're gonna hire the construction manager. The piece we're fighting with is whether or not we hire an owner representative to be which is gonna be 10 to 15 hours a week. Or can myself and Jen take that on for 16 to 18 months and we be doing as representatives, and I don't know how that will work, you know? So the discussion myself and Jen had today was, you know, and I asked this question, Perry was the construction manager with Dana for the police station. But they didn't have the traffic light project, they didn't have the downtown revitalization project, they didn't have trash negotiations, they didn't have track hauling stuff to take care of. And then personnel matters, and then budgets, and then all that other stuff, so I'm not sure, we haven't come to an agreement, I don't know what your thought is.
They're gonna give us a scope of what the person will have to do, and so that we can kind of analyze that. Obviously, I'm gonna have to do all the finance stuff anyway, so that's a big chunk of what that person would do. So we're gonna look at that list and see how much of it we can do, and maybe,
And I don't know if, like, any of us could help with that, or like, I know, yeah, I think that's a question to ask, like, if anyone from the council could help fill some of that or part of that, like, I know I certainly would be able to help with that.
It's whoever, I think it'll come down to whoever, you know, if I can't do it or we can't do it, she'll do the financing, but I don't know if I can commit 10 to 15 hours a week of, you know, looking at everything the carpenters or the construction people are doing. I don't have that free time, I know I don't, not without other stuff's out there, so I don't have it now.
I have a question. I'm trying to think how I wanna ask it. So we're gonna hire a project manager with Oak Point LaSalle we're gonna collaborate with them, hire a project manager who's then gonna hire all the trades and kind of run the project, or is that manager then going out and getting a prime contractor who's then gonna sub out all the?
He's gonna be from the prime, you know, he's the prime contractor, he's gonna be, so like he'll be from Allied Cook Construction or from one of the other major, what's that?
Timber.
Timber, yeah, he'll be from one of those companies, and so in other words, they'll have all the big stuff, so then he's gonna have to hire like the electrician, the HVAC system people, based on what Oak Point will spec into the project.
So we'll be hiring a project manager who's gonna be bidding on the total price for the project. And then they own that. Okay. Just like, I'm just wondering how, like, what incentive that individual has to cost control if there's any changes, any unforeseen site conditions or anything like that. Which renovating a building like this is there's gonna be things that come up that.
But isn't there a point though where we're going to be making the decisions of who's gonna actually be doing the construction and doing the work?
That's what you're gonna do right now.
Okay, okay,
It's ready to go now, because we've already designed the building.
yes,
So now the next logical step is, I thought we were gonna go out and hire, but we don't have the expertise to hire the construction company, right? We don't, I don't. And to sit there and interview all these, go through pages and pages. So you're gonna do that, that'll be, you know, they said that there would probably be, what, 5 or 6 applications?
sorry, you're talking about we're gonna hire a construction manager,
Right,
okay, and then that person is gonna hire our subcontractors?
that company, right.
Okay.
So, yeah, so in other words, like, he'll work for, if you're talking about a big person, you're talking the GM, that's who you're hiring the GM,
Okay,
the general manager of the project.
Yeah.
So that's, and along with him, you know, it could be, hypothetically, it could be an executive from Chimbro, could be an executive from Allied Cook Construction, it could be a construction manager from Bill Cole's construction company, it could be whoever, they're gonna have to apply, and then they'll put their cost of what it's gonna cost, what they're gonna do. They'll have the budget, and they have our budget, I explained to Oak Point today, not a penny over, we're not, but within that process, so all these things you're talking about, change orders, that'll be in your interviews with the construction manager person. Then you say, okay, so they're all gonna come in with a company, they all have a company, right? They're gonna come in and say, so I want you to, I'm gonna come in and interview with you for Sunrise Construction Corporation. And within Sunrise Construction Corporation, so we don't do it, that GM will get all the subcontractors, they'll probably do the major renovations, like building the walls, but they'll get a subcontractor for HVAC, they'll hire the electrician, they'll do all that stuff. We just have the GM to communicate.
But we will have somebody like reviewing stuff on a day-to-day basis, because, you know, the council is too cumbersome and too slow to respond to
That's,
something. Think like any of the home renovation projects or shows, like something's under the kitchen floor, we have to abate some
that's
lead or whatever. I
the
mean, that's
owner's
gonna happen.
representative, that's the
Okay.
owner's representative. They'll have the owner's representative will be the person they'll say, okay, Jeff, this HVAC system is gotta sit over here, so we gotta change, that's gonna be $30,000 change. Okay, Jeff, you gotta let us know by the end of the day. Jeff has to come to Tim has to make that decision, however, we set up the process and the contractor and the rules, we set that up to say, either I can approve changes, or changes gotta come to you for approval, how do we do that? Say Jeff, okay, then Jeff goes back and meets with the GM and says, yes, I've got that approved, that change order is good, this is the date. They sign off on it, we sign off, then when we have an updated meeting for you during the process, they'll say, these are the change orders, authorized by Jeff Minahan, the owner's representative, approved by the GM. Or by the CM, construction manager, general manager, whatever you want to call it.
One of the things they did say also was bringing the construction company on very early on, they can work together and make sure that they stay in budget together. And, you know, they're used to seeing all these kinds of things, so if someone mentions one HVAC system, but this person knows this HVAC system will do the work and maybe be more cost effective, they can work together to make sure, right from the upfront, that they know that they're gonna hit that budget mark.
So they're constructing right now the contract proposal to hire, for us to do Oak Point. And then the second piece is draft language for us to put together the RFPQ, which you'll have to approve first. Then we'll put that out to hire an RFPQ, the same thing we did for the original contract, to hire a general construction manager. And that's somebody there'll be people from big construction companies that'll be applying. I assume it's gonna be small construction companies.
so in hiring, I think the thing I'm just getting a little bit confused with, so in hiring of a construction manager, that's not one person, that's a company.
Correct.
Yeah, we're hiring
That's
a
the
general
thing.
contractor, not.
Yep, that's what I was missing, I thought we were hiring an individual to run something. that whole, so this is like, now, this is like the point at which we're deciding to hire allied cook for the police station.
Correct, yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
We get a name, we.
There, so Old Point wants to move faster than, they don't wanna wait. They said today, they've had great luck if they get the contractors on board while they're doing the final design, exactly that. Cause the contractor might look at that and say, well, hey, we put in this system before, and that could save us money over here, cause we might have a problem here. So, they said, as opposed to waiting to get to the contract at the very end and say, well, here are the specs, what do you think? So they said, we've had much better luck doing it the other way in a lot of the projects we've done. They said that's exactly, Oak Point is doing the new drug rehab center in York County, and they're also doing the new public safety training building. And they said that's exactly how they did it, and I could call Greg Zinsner and talk to him, and they said that that's how it's worked out for them, so. They said it moves everything faster, then we stay on schedule and hopefully. But you guys will have to say the pick, we do. The only piece we're doing is we're gonna advertise it, anybody can apply, it'll be out there for whoever.
Great.
And then the last thing I have is the brownfield project over here on the lot on Railroad Avenue is moving forward. That is a hazard, it's potentially a hazardous site. We have more information. We do think there actually probably could be something there. We're gonna start a phase 2. I have DeCarlo and, Paul coming in December 17th meeting, give you a brief presentation on what actually is gonna happen. Because we're gonna wanna get that information out there so that if it is a contaminated site, and we do have to have it cleaned up, that'll all be paid for on the brownfield project. But I'm gonna wanna have notifications to the neighborhood, let the people know what's going on, probably have some neighborhood meetings, and so forth and so on. That's all I have.
Great, thank you. Councilor comments? Bill, you first. Nothing, John?
I'll start off with wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving, happy safe Thanksgiving, and a thank you to Mr. Mowry from the transfer station for the nice letter he sent us. Thank you, it's nice to know that our efforts are appreciated all over town. I know Jay and Chief, both chiefs do a great job with that, and it was nice for him to send a letter to council, I appreciate that.
Thank us for the backhoe.
Yes.
Jeff?
Just happy Thanksgiving and honestly reiterate exactly what John said.
Mhm.
Very well said.
Thank you.
Melissa?
I'm just gonna give a ditto.
Happy Thanksgiving. We can adjourn.
Madam Chair, I think you adjourn.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Go ahead.
Yes.